Hey folks, welcome back to the Land Fixer podcast. I'm your host, Logan Swanson, and I am excited to talk to you today about, you guessed it, land. Here we talk about all things land, because we love land. And my topic today, after my last video, which was all about my mistakes, is something that I'm actually decently good at, and that is selling land. The how to sell land, obviously it could be its own masterclass. Maybe I wouldn't be qualified for masterclass, but I can give you probably a lot of helpful hints. I'm going to try to cover the gamut here in about 15-20 minutes of how to market and sell land in today's age. So some of it's very high level and some of it's very basic, and we're going to start high level. But before we do, if you are a land investor and you need to sell land, you need to reach out to me. I have the best land selling website ever at primelandexchange.com, where we're marketing directly to real estate investor minded folks. Okay, folks that see land as an asset class, something that they can invest in. And if you are interested in buying land and you're listening to this podcast, it might be because you're one of those people that are real estate minded and look to buy land as an asset class that you can use and have a lot of fun with. So either way, if you're selling or buying, go to primelandexchange.com and check it out. If you're a land investor and you need funding for a development or a land flip or anything along those lines, please check us out at landpartnerfunding.com. And if you're a landowner who's looking to subdivide, sell, do anything with your project property that you currently own and you're looking for a partner, reach out to me at thelandfixer@gmail.com. I'm happy to partner with you, and man, I'm going to get you the best ROI possible for your property, whether I buy it cash or I partner with you to develop it. So we're going to start talking about how to buy and sell land. First, we're going to talk about it as a professional. So if you're a land investor like myself, there's a few key things to do to make yourself successful in the long term, and especially to build upon your marketing dollars. So instead of spending $100 in marketing for a single property, and then it disappears when that property sells, you can actually invest in your brand and have those dollars stack. Okay, so we're going to talk about branding. Branding is a big deal when you are a land seller, because in this day and age, when people are buying and selling on land, it's really not just about the property. It's about legitimacy. It's about people seeing you as a professional, someone who they'd be excited to do business with. The ways to do that are obviously maybe a great website, a good social media presence, things like that really help. But I think the most important thing is a very clear sales process, and this is where most people really struggle. So when people are buying land from me, they know exactly what to do because I'm always telling them every step of the way. Or if one of my salespeople, which I don't have many anymore, are managing it, they're going to be telling them exactly what to do, what the next step is, so that every moment of their land buying journey, it's very clear to them where they're going. And I think this is not the case with a lot of people. So having a decent brand is important. That's your, again, website, social media, but even more importantly is a fully underlined, detailed list of expectations for the land buyer so that they are never lost. They never are sitting there wondering what's the next step, because that's where distrust begins to rear its ugly head. If they think that they're being taken advantage of in any way, and that's really easy in real estate because they might feel like maybe it's the right property, but are they overpaying? Or maybe it's the right property, but are they asking the right questions? Or maybe it looks like the right property, but can I actually build on it in the future? Whatever it is, anytime there's an opportunity for those seeds of distrust to be sown and nurtured and grown, you really want to avoid that so you can get them to the closing table. So that if you're focusing and developing your brand, then your marketing spend, so where you are spending your money to drive traffic to a property, if it's hosted properly in a good website, like the website templates that we build for you on Shopify, then that conversion to your website allows you to remarket to those people very affordably, either through email marketing or through social media marketing or any of the other retargeting channels that are out there. And that allows you to more affordably reach out to people who have already expressed interest in buying land, but also is sending people to your website so they get to know your brand, your identity, who you are, if there's a picture of your family on the website. So it's not just them buying the parcel, but it's kind of them buying into this brand identity. So it allows that ad spend to travel more economically. If you want more of a detailed breakdown of how to do that, just let me know. Send me an email and we can set something up. All right, so if you've done that, you have a good brand, you have a good website, you're driving traffic the right way, well, then you probably are wondering, how do I spend my ad money? Okay, and actually, more high level, how do you budget ad money? Well, if you're budgeting money for marketing your land properties, there's a number of ways to do it. The most common way is haphazard, right? So a real estate investor is going to come in and they're going to say, hey, I have 5 properties, so I'm going to try to get subscriptions to 2 listing services. And that's the way they do it. And then they go on Facebook and they ask the groups, which ones do you like? And some will say, I really like this one. And then the next comment will say, I hate that one. And then the next comment will say, this is the best one. And the comment reply to that's going to be like, that's the worst one ever. It's going to be very confusing. So what you really need to do is you need to look at how many deals you have in inventory. So say you have 5 properties in inventory, then you're going to take a very reasonable, very conservative retail value of those properties to understand the spread or the potential profits from those deals. So an example would be, say you have 5 properties in inventory, all you bought for $20 each, so you're $100,000 invested in these properties, and you think very conservatively you can double your money, so you can sell $100,000 worth of properties for $200,000, and you'll be able to pocket $80,000, and you could do that in the course of 6 months. If it's marketed well. Well, then you take and you select a factor. I usually suggest 10 or 15% of your projected profit in the deals that are in-house over the course of a set period of time. For me, it's usually a 3-month cycle. And that's what we allocate to marketing. So 10% annualized of $80,000 would be $8,000 divided by 3 would say $2,000. Okay, so I have $2,000 over the next 3 months that I need to put towards marketing if I'm going to be selling these properties. That's one way of doing it. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. But the best way of doing it is to do it, to actually set a budget that you are going to stand by for at least 3 months, ideally more like 6 months or a year, to make it more of a cyclical, predictable expense in your business. So if you have $2,000 to spend over the course of 3 months, well, then you start looking at what sort of subscriptions or sort of passive things you might want to buy into. Lands.com, I think, is like $700 a month for 5 premium listings, and then there's a bunch of other ones. Land Flip, Prime Land Exchange is $100 for 25 listings. Plug. Land Flip is also great. We use them. I mean, we try to put our marketing everywhere. So for $2,000, you could actually have multiple paid listing services. Then, if you have leftovers, you can spend directly through paid social media marketing. That is too big of a topic for me to directly approach here. But then there's also tons and tons and tons and tons of other ways that you can spend marketing that most people don't ever think about. For example, if you have a property in, say, Tennessee, and you're used to marketing on Facebook, well, you probably post these things in buy-sell groups. Well, a lot of these buy and sell groups can be bought. You message the moderator and say, hey, can my property show up in, say, the story, the Facebook group story, or be a pinned post for the next week if I give you $100? A lot of people say yes, because they don't really know how to monetize the big groups that they currently have. So, anyways, you set aside a certain amount of money, and then you specifically decide how you want to spend that money. But the goal is whatever money you're spending, you want to have this flow to drive the traffic back to your website. All the way back to your website. Make sure that website's designed so that you can catch the data. Add them to your mailing list. Retarget them through, making sure you have a pixel on your website for paid social media marketing, or even, some sort of content that you can get them to engage with. A newsletter, a podcast, whatever. The whole idea is like, how can you get back in touch with them and stay top of mind for them? Sorry. Next, Facebook is the most obvious and easy, free marketing platform for land investors. I would say about 65% of the properties that I have sold through Facebook Marketplace, believe it or not. And a lot of it was myself. I've done all sorts of tactics to try to outsource that duty, and varying levels of success, but always temporary success. So if I am, say, paying somebody to post my properties under their own social media account, and then giving them some sort of marketing money, one, that's kind of legally gray. I stopped doing it. But two, you really never know what they're saying. Are they representing your brand? So that kind of goes against my first rule, which is like know and protect your brand. Long story short, there's a lot of different ways to do it. People have successfully done it and even outsourced it to people in the Philippines using their own personal accounts. I've tried that. I've never been successful doing any of that stuff. So it always just comes down to me. And how can I just have a manageable inventory of properties so that I can, if I'm going to be the one selling properties, post them on Facebook myself? And that's what our company's kind of been shaped around recently, is how can I be the only one doing this and have it still not consume much of my time? So I might spend maybe 10 minutes a day engaging with Facebook leads, and I sell a property a week doing that. Facebook is its own mystification. Maybe I'll do a whole episode just on Facebook. I probably ought to. All right, next we're going to talk about selecting brokers and agents, right? So if you have your own brand, your own company, you're using these listing services, you're pushing people to your website, you're on Facebook churning and listing these properties in all these different buy and sell groups and on Facebook Marketplace. Well, you also have the ability to go just hire a broker or get it on MLS using a flat fee listing service. I do not suggest that really ever. I don't know anyone who has luck with it, but not like I've taken a poll of everybody. Maybe some people do. I prefer to find a broker, okay, even if it's a cheap property. And the way that I select a broker is kind of in depth. We actually call anywhere between 10 to 15 local brokers or agents. We ask them all kind of the same scripted series of questions, and we identify which ones are, one, familiar with marketing and selling land, because that's not common. Maybe 1 in 10 actually know what they're doing, and then are real estate investment oriented, so they're willing to work in slightly unique ways, and we'll get into that in a minute. And then 3, if they're checking those boxes and we're really looking for the best one, we want somebody who maybe already has some of these listing services that their brokerage is paying for, so that you don't have to double dip. That you might be able to find someone who's local that is already paying for all these things, and then you're just going to reimburse them through their commissions. And then finally, you want them to be actually willing to show a property. A lot of these folks will do your listing, do all this stuff, get it live, but they won't show your property. And that is no bueno. So because of that, you need to be able to incentivize them correctly. So if it's a low value property and you want them to actually do work and show the property, well, you might have to pay them above 3%. So some of the things that we'll do is we'll just have set rate payouts for brokers or agents if they sell the property. So instead of 3% of a $20,000 property, which ain't much, maybe it's $3,000. You know, for us, it's still worthwhile because they're out there showing properties and doing this sort of stuff. And for them, it's like way more. And it actually makes it worthwhile for them to give time and attention towards selling this property. Because even a $20,000 property takes as much effort as selling a $100,000 property. You still need someone who's going to be giving attention to it. And then secondly, on these high-end properties, since I'm already putting a bunch of my money and effort into marketing, I don't want to have redundancy there with somebody else. So what I've had in the past is, before I started negotiating directly with our agents, is I would do all this marketing. I would find a buyer for the property, then I'd send it to my agent, and all they would do is handle paperwork and get a 6% commission. And I'd be sitting there like, what did you do? You know, you didn't do nothing, and you're walking, if it's a $100,000 property, they're walking away with $6,000. And all they did was list it on MLS. That hurts my feelings a little bit. So what I do is I negotiate with every one of my agents. So I say, hey, I'm going to do my own marketing. I'm going to try to make this as seamless as possible. I don't even really want you to show the property unless necessary, because I should have my own marketing going on this. But I do, since I'm a one-man band or a very small, small business, I don't want to engage with all the buyers directly. So what if we had the relationship where my marketing is driving traffic to my website and I'm generating leads and I'm doing a little bit of qualification, but then when it's time to actually get them to sign a contract and negotiate with them, I'm going to hand them to you. And then you can be a hard ass with them, because I'm kind of a softie. I'm actually not good at negotiating. And that works really well, but the trade-off is if I bring the buyer, I pay you a 3% commission or a reduction of some, fixed rate or negotiated fee. So that incentivizes me to do all my work and actually kind of effectively adds to my marketing budget, because instead of paying $6,000 to a broker, I'm going to pay them $3,000, and that $3,000 I saved can go back into marketing, which is going to be spent driving traffic to my website and building my brand and building my audience and engaging with more people. So selecting and negotiating and how you work with agents and brokers is huge. And man, is there a disparity in the quality of agents and brokers. I am telling you, some are absolute, I'll not say bad things, but not the best people to work with. And others are like destined for sainthood. You're wondering like, how are these people, I have this lady in Connecticut right now who's just like a gem. There's no way I could pay her enough. I could pay her a 10% commission and I'd still be like, she deserves more. Outrageous. And then, the last thing on brokers and agents, especially if you're working in a remote market, is they could be the ones connecting you to the other useful services that you might need. Surveyors, title companies, maybe someone to clear the lot. Maybe you need someone to put a gravel driveway in. They are going to be the ones connected. Maybe they even know the county, city council, the city councilman, maybe the county district representatives, whatever. If you're asking those questions, they checked all the other boxes. Then you ask who they know. And if they know everybody and they can assist you in that way, man, you can build a whole career around operating in 3 areas if all you have is the best agents or brokers there. It's crazy how valuable they are. And I can keep going into how to work with agents and brokers to maximize your time and energy. But we got to keep going. Okay, I'm going to try to run through these because I'm already running out of time. So imagery and overlays. So one of the biggest issues that, honestly, I still make it sometimes out of laziness is we might be selling a property and all we do is grab some images from the GIS because I don't really want to invest additional money into the photos or whatever. But if you're going to try to move a property quickly, one of the things that you want to add to your marketing budget is definitely drone footage so that you can have high quality video, ideally, and photos of the property. And you want them to be from the certain angles. So maybe if it's near a lake, you can see the lake in the background. Like, you kind of need to coach the drone person through getting the best imagery of the property. And then either that drone photographer themselves will have some sort of imagery editor, or you might want to have someone that you work with on a regular basis, maybe a virtual assistant, someone overseas that you can hire affordably, to do overlays on the imagery. So you can show them the property details. Maybe you can show them images of nearby attractions, maps, all sorts of stuff. And you can create a series of 5, 10, 15 photos that just tell the entire story of this property, where the utilities are, the closest towns, the closest Walmart. That's a big deal to a lot of people. How close is the closest Walmart? How do you get to the lake? Where's the boat? If the lake's nearby, where's the boat ramp? Where can you go hunting? Whatever. And you can actually talk to people through those images as opposed to trying to get them to go read descriptions, which most people, they don't like descriptions. They like to flip through a carousel. Or even better is you take that carousel, you put it into a video, and you can use that in your Facebook marketing, and that actually gets you more eyes on Facebook because their algorithm wants videos. And then you can repurpose that in all the other social media channels, whatever. So a good amount of, or good quality imagery, overlays, and videos are super helpful in getting people to actually pay attention to your properties, because if all they're seeing is some screenshot of a GIS map, good luck. Next, surveys. Surveys are optional, but I am leaning more towards getting surveys on the front end. Most of the times I'd buy properties unsurveyed, and I would wait until the buyer, the end buyer, the person I sell the property to, is buying the property, and if they ask for a survey, that's the only time I would do it. And I would say, hey, you have to pay for the survey, and I don't want to mess with it at all. And that actually dissuades a lot of people. And it'll actually make the closing process go much longer than it needs to oftentimes, especially if you're in an area where it's hard to get a good surveyor on a timely basis. And maybe you find out some bad news from that survey that makes you look kind of dumb. Maybe the property line is one way or another, or there's an encroachment or whatever else. So if you do the survey on the front end, yes, it's an added expense, but man, it helps you have the entire image of what this property is. So when you're going to sell it to somebody, you're not guessing. And that's kind of a big deal. It makes the closing more quickly. And since I've sold so many properties, I know that how smooth the closing goes directly correlates with the actual rate of closing. I would say something like 50% of the contracts, maybe not, maybe 30%, 35% of the contracts that we send to title, either through our funding company or our developments or whatever else, they don't close. So that's a tough emotional journey where you're like, hey, I have this property under contract, I'm going to make some money, and then something falls through. And a survey is one of the most common reasons. Either we didn't get the survey, we can't get a survey in a timely fashion, the survey yields information that we were not expecting, it lowers the acreage, it cuts off a certain section of the property, whatever. So that covers probably the most important things. But there are a few value add items that you can do. If you have a property that's sitting for a long time, and one of them is clearing. I have actually showed a lot of properties myself personally in my developments. And one of the biggest pains in the butt when you're showing property is if you can't actually walk it. And even if I'm there showing them, it's better than if I just send them there alone, because most people don't know how to look at land anyways. So if you're trying to sell a property in short order, quickly, limit days on market through your MLS posts, well, part of your marketing budget could go towards clearing lots, making sure that people know where they would build a home, if they were to build a home, whatever. It's just a good idea to clear lots so that when people are out there, they can actually experience the property with ease and comfort. Because if they can't, it limits your buyer pool. Showing land is its own art. I've showed a lot of land. Ideally, hopefully you have a broker who's just going to do this for you. But if you're selling your own land and you're out there like a real hustler, like I've done in the past, then you need to not only know the land, but you need to know how to speak to them, tell them the dream of the property, all the freedom they're going to have out here in the country, and the sort of house they can build, and look at right over the, you need to be able to tell a narrative of the property. And that brings me to the final one. Second to the final one, which is you need to sell the dream in land. You need to sell it as a blank canvas, an investment, right? A hedge against inflation, something they can hand off to their kids in the future. Because most people don't actually do anything with their land. It's crazy. The number of home sites that I have sold that do not have homes on them. I've sold entire subdivisions of land that no one's built on or developed at all. Maybe they will in the future. Hopefully they will in the future. That's the whole point. But what you're really fostering for them is that dream. Play your part, right? That if that's their dream, you're not doing anything wrong by reaffirming their dream when they're in the purchase process. Sell the dream, not the property. And then finally, I actually probably should have moved this one up, but lead management and lead engagement. Most people don't know how to do this at all. So if you are new to this, or even if you're selling just a couple properties that you already have, it's very worthwhile having some sort of system of organization around which you can input leads, put notes on them, manage phone numbers and email addresses, and know when to reach out to them again. So that's a CRM is what that's called. You can do CRMs just for free using Google Docs, sheets like that. But it's pretty worthwhile investing in one. I highly suggest Monday.com. We used Follow Up Boss in the past. I know a lot of people use Fresh Sales. There's a proprietary one called Pebble, which are really cool guys made just for land investing, and I'm sure there's many, many more. But it is well worth it, because the last thing you want to do is invest money again in brands and sending people to your website, and then the thing that you're actually harvesting is leads, and then if all they do is fall through the cracks, what a waste of money. You need to manage the leads. You need to keep that information, because you never know when you're going to need it in the future. Okay. All right, folks, I went well over time on that one, but hey, I really hope you enjoyed this. I hope you get some grain of information out of this. And again, if you're looking to sell land, I got a website you would like. If you're looking to buy land, I got a website you would like. It's primelandexchange.com. Go check it out. If you need funding for land flips, land developments, land entitlements, any sort of land deal, check us out at the landpartnerfunding.com. If you have land that you need to partner with someone to sell, develop, appreciate in some form or fashion, force appreciation, or literally just go appreciate it. I appreciate that land. I'm your guy. Reach out to me at thelandfixer@gmail.com. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you directly. Y'all, thank you for your time. Cheers.